There's a place I have found in the shade on the ground, far from all worries and troubling sound. When I go there to be by myself, only me. No one can guess what I came there to see. There's a sun in the sky, there's a cloud drifting by. All kinds of birds make you wish you could fly. And in the distance I see someone waving at me. I hope that it's you, but who else could it be?
What's going on, guys? Commander Santa here, and welcome back to another episode of Buffalo Valley. So today we are working on another slightly small addition to Buffalo Valley. I haven't had a bunch of time to work on stuff, just, the usual, me being busy. The usual excuse, but anyways, I wasn't really sure what I could add. I kind of left the park in almost... It's hard to explain. We touched upon it in Jubilee Gardens a little bit. Just the way I kind of left the path system, and after finishing Frontier Town, I left it in such a way where it was very, very difficult for me to kind of pick a spot and add something and kind of continue in such a way where I could actually get the creative juices flowing, if you know what I mean. Just because I had kind of 3 different path sections that are left left in dead ends almost, and I pretty much had to pick one almost, and that was actually proving to be quite difficult for me. So instead of picking one, I decided to work in the Frontier Town a little bit more. I decided to add another ride to it. And originally it was I got a comment in my last video. I forget the name of the users. I apologize. I should probably write this stuff down when I try and reference people in the comments, but you know who you are. And he or she recommended that I do a kiddie coaster. Now, if you can probably tell by now, I did not do a kiddie coaster, but the only issue I found for doing a kiddie coaster, which, don't get me wrong, I did try. I spent a few days trying to get a layout that I actually enjoyed, and I didn't really find one, unfortunately. I tried a few different layouts, and at the end of the day, they all ended up just being way too big. I think I ended up making my trains for the kiddie coaster, the junior coaster. I did the ladybug because I figured maybe that would fit in, but I didn't really find anything that I really enjoyed. I kind of wanted a basic car that wasn't a ladybug or a dragon. I think we have both of those. And then the other thing was the only junior coaster I know of, really, that I'm not an expert in junior coasters, is the one at Darien Lake, and it goes up and down like maybe 3 or 4 times, and it's just kind of a loop almost. It's just one small kind of circle, and you go around it a few times and then they stop. They pretty much let you go around the same kind of circuit several times until I think the kids get bored, and then they kick you off, and then they bring the next one on. So, I mean, all in all, that was like the coaster would go up and do like 2 bumps and then get back to the station. So I didn't really have much to go on, and looking at junior coasters online, I found a few layouts that were interesting, but again, nothing that really piqued my interest or kind of fit in with what I was kind of envisioning right there. So instead, I decided to go with a Ferris wheel, and I have to say, I think that actually finished off this area absolutely perfectly. If you can probably tell by what we're working on right now and the cinematic shots at the end, the Ferris wheel completely seals off the area really nicely. Now, I decided to do a Ferris wheel because I figured that would be kind of cool. Most parks that have kind of bodies of water, you tend to find the Ferris wheel near that body of water. So I decided to, put it there and almost have a boardwalk like we did way earlier in the season of Buffalo Valley. And I just kind of nestled it up on the boardwalk up against the kind of the shore of this big lake I did. And I think it turned out really well. So you'll be able to go up, and at the top of the Ferris wheel you can look over the body of water, and then you can look back down the path and see this kind of big area that we're going to have over here. Other than that, I didn't really do much else aside from a few buildings here. The first building I worked on was actually attached to the queue line, which I figured might be used for storage at first, but it ended up turning into a boathouse. I figured a boathouse would be really, really cool to add on to this. It was just a neat looking building. From the queue line, it looks like a normal building, but if kind of use your imagination and kind of think you can look through the windows in the boathouse here, and you can kind of see in, and it'd probably be themed really well inside with like a few things. And I put a few things in there, but if no one's going to actually see it, I didn't really care too much about it. I also did put one of the wooden boats in there, which fits perfectly. But other than that, I thought this boathouse was a great addition, and it looks really cool from the lake itself. And with because I did a lot of foliage around everything, and it themes it very well. It almost makes this area around the Ferris wheel its own space, which is really cool. What I really enjoy about it is when you're sitting on the Ferris wheel and you're near the bottom, you're kind of in like this forested area, so it feels. It's not a heavy forest, but it's kind of a light forest. There's a few trees. And then you come up and you go above the tree line, and then you could just see everything, which is just, it would be just a great experience to see everything. And then if you get lucky and actually get the Ferris wheel to stop when you're at the top, you're going to be able to see everywhere and everything. It's just going to be absolutely fantastic. It'd be great heights, great views. Look over the lake, look down the path at the frontier town. You can even see some of the Genesee River Brewing Company roller coaster is the swinging coaster. And that's pretty much it, because our park's absolutely huge right now. Which brings me to my next point. The reason I did a bunch of terraforming over here was it's actually kind of setting me up in such a way where I can almost see the light at the end of the tunnel almost. Now, don't get me wrong. I love Buffalo Valley. I can work on this until it's full. But that's the thing. This is not a high budget park. It has a few high budget pieces, but this is not going to be a huge park. How am I going to explain this? It doesn't need to be as big as the entire map, which is what I'm trying to get at. And just kind of the nature of the Alpine map itself, it's not even the best. The map itself isn't even built or made to build a park over the whole thing. So I decided that to put in this lake, do some terraforming around the outside, and pretty much that's going to seal in the area. We still have a lot of room to build, so don't worry, this Buffalo Valley is not going to end next episode. We're going to have a while until it ends, but this is actually going to be the start of almost the ending of Buffalo Valley, I guess. Don't be too sad. We'll work on something after, but I don't know. It's just because the thing with the Alpine map is you have that steady slope into the river that's out of the bounds of the map itself, and it comes in a lot. So I don't want to build down that slope because I think that'd be kind of weird. So I think going to the end of that slope should be perfect. I think it should be absolutely perfect. So that's pretty much what I wanted to get at with that. And this lake kind of takes up some space, because if I didn't take up the space, we would have just this huge grass area that would be all flat. Hence why I did some terraforming as well. And after I did the terraforming, I have so many ideas with different ways to go in different areas that I can actually start branching path structures out. Because obviously we're going to have a path that's going around and ring the entire lake, or at least most of the lake. Because I think I might leave the backside of the lake for the railroad, the train, to actually come along the back of the lake, which would be really cool. Good views and everything. But yeah, that's pretty much my ideas. I think next it's going to be the Haunted Forest. Unless you guys can shoot me with some better ideas, feel free to send some ideas my way. I always appreciate good ideas. So if nobody's got anything, I'm probably going to start working on a Haunted Forest, which would be pretty cool. Now, what I want to talk about right now is the building I'm working on, or at least almost done with, I guess, by now. Man, I've been talking too much. This is a boat rentals. So I thought that'd be really cool. Have a lake, and then you can come over here, and it's just a memento, which it's like I think it's pictures or something. And you can imagine that you can rent one of these boats and kind of go out and paddle along and do things and just kind of hang out in the lake, which would be really cool. At Darien Lake, when I was young, we'd always rent the boats there because they had a small little lake. I mean, smallish. It was a pretty big lake when I was a kid, but now looking at it, it's kind of small. But I think it was only like $10 and you can rent the boat for, I think, an hour. But if there was like no one in line trying to get one of the boats, the person running it really didn't care. So if it wasn't busy, you can like pretty much stay out as long as you wanted. And we'd always do that, and it was just so much fun. So I wanted to kind of have that experience in here, even though we don't get the ability to have people kind of like go on the lake and paddle around and stuff. I still wanted to have like that kind of thought in here. So someone could come up, the parents can rent some boats for the kids and just kind of have the kids go paddle along while they go ride some of the big rides and stuff or something like that. Or the family can get on like paddle boats and stuff and go around the lake, which would be really cool. And I think that would be just a lot of fun. So that was kind of my idea with this. And I made it kind of fit our theme a little bit by having a lot of wood, a lot of kind of almost look like it's a shipping yard kind of sort of. But I think that sealed this area off perfectly. So that's pretty much all I have for today, guys. So again, thank you all for watching. Make sure to hit that subscribe button if you haven't yet. Make sure to hit that like button, and I'll see you guys in the next episode. Have a great week. Thank you.